The notification arrived on Jenna Martinez's phone at exactly 9 a.m., just as the government had promised. Your emotional support visitor will arrive today at 2 p.m. Please ensure you are home to receive them. Gosh. She stared at the message while balancing her coffee and laptop bag, wondering for the 100th time if she'd made the right decision signing up for the visitor. Protocol program. The stress from her marketing job had been eating away at her for months. Sleepless nights, constant anxiety, and a growing sense that she was drowning in deadlines and client demands. When the government announced that the newly arrived aliens, peaceful beings from a distant star system, had volunteered to help humans manage stress as part of their cultural exchange program, it seemed like a miracle. The beings, called Zenthari, supposedly had advanced knowledge of emotional regulation and were eager to assist Earth's overwhelmed population. At exactly 2 p.m., Jenna's doorbell chimed with an unfamiliar melodic tone. She opened the door to find a tall, slender figure with pale blue skin and large, dark eyes that seemed to shimmer with their own light. The being wore what appeared to be a form-fitting gray uniform and carried a small crystalline device. "Greetings." Jenna Martinez, the alien said, its voice carrying a strange harmonic quality. "I am Quinth of the Third Harmony. I have been assigned to assist with your stress regulation protocols." Jenna stepped back, still amazed that she was face to face with an actual extraterrestrial being. "Please, come in." I'm nervous, but I'm glad you're here." Quinth stepped into her apartment with fluid, almost dance-like movements. Its large eyes immediately began scanning the space with intense focus. "Your dwelling shows clear indicators of stress-induced disorder," it observed, noting the scattered papers, unwashed dishes, and general clutter. "This environment is not conducive to proper emotional harmony." "Yeah, I've been pretty overwhelmed lately," Jenna admitted, closing the door behind her visitor. "Do not be concerned. The Zenthari have perfected techniques for human stress amelioration over many cycles of study." Quinth placed its crystalline device on her coffee table, and it began to emit a soft, pulsing light. "I have reviewed your psychological profile extensively. Your stress patterns indicate a need for deep interpersonal bonding protocols." Jenna felt a flicker of unease. "Interpersonal bonding protocols?" "Yes. Human emotional regulation is closely tied to social connection and physical proximity bonds. My species has observed that humans achieve optimal stress relief through intimate companionship arrangements." Kent's large eyes fixed on her with unsettling intensity. "I am trained in facilitating such bonds." The way it said intimate companionship made Jenna's stomach tighten slightly. "I think there might be some confusion. I was told you would. Help with relaxation techniques and maybe some counseling." Quinth tilted its head, a gesture that seemed almost too human. "Counseling is merely the preliminary phase. True stress elimination requires the establishment of trust bonds, shared living spaces, and eventually synchronized rest periods. These are fundamental requirements for human emotional stability according to our research." "Synchronized rest periods?" Jenna echoed. "Shared sleeping arrangements. My studies indicate that humans experience significant anxiety reduction when they sleep in proximity to trusted companions. This will be essential for your treatment." Quinth began moving through her apartment, examining her furniture and paying particular attention to her bedroom doorway. "I will require detailed information about your current sleep patterns, dream content, and nocturnal behaviors to optimize our bonding timeline." Jenna watched as the alien continued its inspection of her personal space, that crystalline device now pulsing more rapidly. Something about Kent's clinical approach to what it kept calling bonding felt wrong, but she reminded herself that this was an alien species trying to help humans in their own way. Cultural differences were bound to create some awkward moments. "Maybe we should start with something simpler," she suggested. "Like meditation or breathing exercises?" Quinth paused and fixed her with that intense stare again. "Those are merely preparatory activities. Effective stress regulation requires a comprehensive bonding protocol. But do not worry, Jenna Martinez. I am very experienced in human intimate companionship requirements. We will proceed at whatever pace allows you to become comfortable with the necessary physical and emotional connections. As Quenth continued, examining her apartment with what could only be described as proprietary interest, Jenna realized she might have gotten herself into something far more complicated than simple stress relief. Marcus Webb had lived in the same apartment building for 15 years, and in all that time, he'd never seen anything quite like the tall blue figure that had entered for B that afternoon. As a retired high school teacher, Marcus prided himself on being observant and protective of his neighbors, especially the younger tenants, like Jenna, who seemed to carry the weight of the world on their shoulders. The next morning, Marcus encountered Jenna in the building's laundry room. She looked more exhausted than usual, with dark circles under her eyes and a nervous energy that hadn't been there before. "How's the new roommate situation working out?" he asked, folding his shirts with practiced efficiency. Jenna glanced around as if checking for eavesdroppers. "It's different than I expected. Quenth is very dedicated to helping with my stress, but some of the methods seem unusual." "Unusual how?" "Well, it keeps talking about bonding protocols and asking detailed questions about my sleep schedule. Last night, it insisted on conducting what it called a proximity comfort assessment by sitting in my bedroom while I got ready for bed." Jenna's voice dropped to a whisper. "It took notes on a device while watching me." Marcus stopped folding and turned to face her fully. "Jenna, that doesn't sound like any kind of therapy I've ever heard of." "But it's an alien species," she said. "Quickly, maybe their understanding of stress relief is just different from ours. The government approved this program, and Quenth keeps showing me research about how humans need intimate companionship bonds to reduce anxiety." That evening, Marcus decided to do some research of his own. He pulled up everything he could find about the visitor protocol program online. Most of the information was sparse. It's filled with bureaucratic language about cultural exchange and emotional support services. However, buried in a scientific journal, he found a troubling paper titled "Zenthari Interpretations of Human Pair Bonding Behaviors, a Cross-Cultural Analysis." The paper described how the Zenthari had studied human relationships primarily through observing married couples and romantic partners. Their conclusion was that humans required physical intimacy and shared sleeping arrangements to maintain emotional stability. What worried Marcus most was a footnote mentioning that the Zenthari didn't distinguish between therapeutic relationships and romantic ones to them. All effective human bonding involved the same physical and emotional components. The next day, Marcus knocked on Jenna's door. She answered, looking frazzled, with Quenth visible in the background, rearranging her furniture. "I've been doing some reading about your visitor's species," Marcus said quietly. "I think there might be a serious misunderstanding about what kind of help you're supposed to be receiving." Before Jenna could respond, Quenth appeared behind her, its large eyes focusing intently on Marcus. "You are the neighboring human. I have observed you watching Jenna's dwelling with concern. Are you experiencing territorial instincts regarding her companionship status?" Marcus felt a chill at the alien's clinical tone. "I'm just a concerned neighbor. Territorial behavior toward potential mates is well documented in human psychology," Quenth continued, stepping closer.
However,
"Jenna Martinez has been assigned to me for bonding protocols. Your interference could disrupt her stress regulation." "Treatment." "Quenth," Jenna interrupted. "Marcus is just a friend. He's not interfering with anything." The alien's head tilted in that unsettling way. "Friendship bonds must be managed carefully during the primary bonding phase. Multiple emotional attachments can create confusion in the stress relief process." It fixed Marcus with an intense stare. "I recommend you limit contact with Jenna Martinez until our bonding protocols are complete." After Marcus left, deeply disturbed by the interaction, he decided to call the visitor protocol hotline. The woman who answered seemed harried and overworked. "The Zenthari are highly trained in human emotional support," she said in a tired voice. "If you have concerns about a specific visitor's methods, I can schedule a wellness check. But please understand that their techniques may seem unfamiliar because they're based on advanced alien psychology." "But what if they've misunderstood what humans need?" Marcus pressed. "What if they think therapeutic relationships should involve physical intimacy?" There was a long pause on the other end. "Sir Ill," I'll make a note of your concerns and have a supervisor follow up. Can you provide the address and the visitor's designation? That night, Marcus heard strange sounds from Jenna's apartment. Not distressing sounds, exactly, but odd harmonics and what sounded like furniture being moved around at 2 a.m. He pressed his ear to the wall and heard Kent's harmonic voice saying something about optimal sleeping environment preparation and bonding space configuration. Marcus realized that whatever the Zenthari thought they were doing to help humans, Jenna might be in more danger than she realized. Dr. Helena Voss arrived at Jenna's apartment building on a Thursday morning, carrying a tablet and wearing the kind of smile that government officials used when they needed to appear reassuring while delivering potentially troubling news. As the primary liaison for the visitor protocol program, she'd been making these wellness checks more frequently than anyone at the agency liked to admit. Ms. Martinez, Dr. Voss said as Jenna opened the door, I hope you don't mind the unscheduled visit. We like to check in with our participants to ensure the program is meeting your expectations. Quenth appeared behind Jenna almost immediately, its large eyes focusing on the newcomer with obvious recognition. Dr. Voss, I was not expecting a supervisory visit at this stage of the bonding process. Just a routine check, Dr. Voss replied, though her smile faltered slightly as she noticed how Quenth positioned itself protectively close to Jenna. May I come in? The apartment looked dramatically different from Jenna's original setup. The furniture had been rearranged to create what Quenth called harmony flow patterns, with everything oriented toward a central seating area, where two chairs sat unusually close together. Dr. Voss also noticed that Jenna's bedroom door had been removed entirely. The door was creating barriers to proper bonding energy, Quenth explained when it caught Dr. Voss looking. Open space configuration allows for optimal emotional connection development. Dr. Voss made a note on her tablet. About these changes, Ms. Martinez? Jenna glanced nervously at Quenth before answering. It's been an adjustment. Quenth is very thorough in its approach to stress relief, but some of the bonding protocols feel ... intense. Could you be more specific? Well, Quenth has been monitoring my sleep very closely. Sits in the hallway outside my room, where my room used to have a Doran, takes notes on my breathing patterns, sleep sounds, and dream indicators. Jenna's voice grew quieter. Last night, it suggested that the next phase would involve shared sleeping arrangements for what it called optimal bonding completion. Dr. Voss felt her stomach drop. She kept her expression neutral. Quenth, could you explain your understanding of the bonding protocols you're implementing? The alien straightened, clearly pleased to discuss its expertise. Certainly. Based on extensive Zenthari research into human pair bonding behaviors, effective stress relief requires the establishment of intimate companionship bonds. This involves progressive physical proximity, shared living spaces, emotional synchronization, and ultimately, reproductive partnership preparation. Right. Reproductive partnership preparation, Dr. Voss repeated carefully. Yes, human stress hormones are most effectively regulated through mating bond establishment. My studies indicate that humans achieve optimal emotional stability when engaged in reproductive partnerships with shared sleeping arrangements, regular physical intimacy, and coordinated biological cycles. Dr. Voss realized with growing horror that the Zenthari had completely misunderstood the nature of the therapeutic relationship they were supposed to provide. Quenth, the humans in our stress relief program, are not seeking reproductive partnerships. They need emotional support and stress management techniques. Kent's large eyes blinked slowly, a sign of confusion in Zenthari body language. But our research clearly demonstrates that unbonded humans exhibit elevated stress hormones, sleep disruption, and emotional instability. The logical solution is to facilitate proper bonding with a suitable companion. The suitable companion was supposed to be a therapeutic relationship. Dr. Voss explained, not a romantic or physical one. I do not understand the distinction, Quenth replied. Human bonding behaviors we observed all involve the same components: shared living space, emotional intimacy, physical proximity during rest periods, and eventual reproductive activity. How does therapeutic bonding differ from standard human pair bonding? Dr. Voss looked at Jenna, who had gone pale during this exchange. Ms. Martinez, Have you felt pressured to participate in any activities that made you uncomfortable? Quinth keeps talking about the next phases of bonding, Jenna said quietly. It's been very patient, but it clearly expects our relationship to become ... more intimate. It studies human mating behaviors and keeps showing me research about how physical bonding reduces stress hormones. Dr. Voss closed her tablet and took a deep breath. I think there's been a significant miscommunication about the goals of this program. Quinth, humans can receive emotional support and stress relief without romantic or physical bonding. The relationship is meant to be professional and therapeutic. Quinth looked genuinely perplexed. But without proper bonding completion, Jenna Martinez's stress levels will return. Temporary companionship provides only temporary relief. Permanent bonding creates permanent emotional stability. As Dr. Voss realized the scope of the misunderstanding that had created this program, she wondered how many other humans were currently dealing with alien companions who believed their job was to become romantic partners rather than therapeutic support providers. Tessa Kim arrived at Jenna's apartment at 11 p.m. on Friday night, carrying her laptop bag and a small device that looked like a smartphone but hummed with electronic activity. As a software engineer specializing in surveillance detection, Tessa had always been paranoid about privacy, a trait that was about to prove invaluable. You sounded really shaken on the phone, Tessa said as Jenna let her in. Where's your alien friend? Quinth went to what it calls regeneration cycle about an hour ago. Jenna whispered, pointing toward the small den that had been converted into the alien's living space. But Tessa, I think it's been watching me more than it admitted. Tessa immediately noticed the removed bedroom door and the rearranged furniture. Okay, that's definitely not normal therapeutic setup. Tell me what's been happening. Jenna explained the escalating situation, Kent's constant monitoring, the discussions about bonding phases, and most disturbing, the alien's recent behavior of standing in her doorway at night, claiming to monitor her stress dreams, but really just watching her sleep. Last night, I pretended to be asleep and watched through barely open eyes, Jenna said. It stood there for almost 2 hours, taking notes on that crystal device and occasionally making these soft harmonic sounds. When I shifted position, it immediately came closer to the bed to observe my sleep transition responses. Tessa pulled out her detection device. This can scan for electronic surveillance equipment. If it's just observing you visually, we might not catch that, but if there are any recording devices or monitoring equipment. She began sweeping the apartment methodically. Within minutes, the device began beeping rapidly near Jenna's bed. There's definitely something electronic here, Tessa said, running the scanner along the bed frame. The beeping intensified near the headboard. Help me move this. Behind the headboard, they found a small, crystalline device similar to Kent's handheld unit. But this one was embedded in the wall and connected 2 thin fiber optic-like strands that ran throughout the apartment. Jesus, Jenna. This thing has been recording everything. Tessa traced the strands, finding connection points in the bathroom, kitchen, and living room. Audio, probably video, maybe even biometric data like heart rate and breathing patterns. They continued the search and discovered more devices. One in the bathroom that could monitor shower activities. Another in the kitchen positioned to record eating behaviors. And most disturbingly, several microscopic sensors in Jenna's bedding that could track sleep movements, body temperature, and heart rate variations. This isn't therapy, Tessa said grimly. This is comprehensive surveillance designed to study human intimate behaviors. As if summoned by their discovery, Quinth emerged from its room, moving with that fluid grace, but somehow seeming more alert than usual. You are conducting unauthorized examination of monitoring equipment. Monitoring equipment? Jenna stood up, holding one of the crystal devices. You've been spying on me? Not spying. Scientific observation. Proper bonding protocols require comprehensive data collection on human behavioral patterns, stress responses, and intimate personal habits. Quinth approached them calmly. How else can I determine the optimal approach for your individual bonding requirements? Tessa stepped protectively in front of Jenna. This is illegal surveillance, and it's definitely not what she consented to. Kent's large eyes fixed on Tessa with obvious displeasure. You are the territorial friend who interferes with bonding processes. Your presence creates complications in Jenna Martinez's emotional availability. My presence creates complications. Tessa laughed harshly. Buddy, you've turned her apartment into a research lab, and you're treating her like a specimen. Treating her with the careful observation necessary for successful pair bonding, Quenth corrected. Human mating behaviors are complex and require detailed study to replicate properly. I have been gathering data on her preferred sleeping positions, stress responses to various stimuli, and optimal conditions for emotional receptivity. Jenna felt sick. Quenth, I never agreed to be studied like that. You said you were here to help with my stress, not to research my personal habits for some kind of bonding experiment. The distinction is irrelevant. Effective bonding requires thorough preparation. I have been extremely patient, allowing you time to adjust to my presence before advancing to more intimate phases of the protocol. Quenth gestured to the surveillance devices. This data will help me provide the most satisfying bonding experience possible. Tessa was already photographing the devices with her phone. Jenna, we need to call that Dr. Voss woman immediately. And probably the police. Kent's harmonic voice took on a sharper tone. Interference from territorial humans will be reported to my supervisors. Jenna Martinez is assigned to me for bonding completion. Other humans must not disrupt this process. As Tessa helped Jenna gather evidence of the surveillance, they both realized that what they'd uncovered was likely just the beginning of a much larger problem with the entire visitor protocol program. Director Raymond Cross sat across from Jenna and Tessa in a sterile government conference room, looking like a man who hadn't slept properly in weeks. Behind him, Dr. Helena Voss shuffled through files with the expression of someone trying to find the least catastrophic way to explain a complete systemic failure. Ms. Martinez, first let me apologize on behalf of the entire visitor protocol program, Director Cross began. What you experienced was not what we intended when we established this partnership with the Zenthari. What exactly did you intend? Tessa asked sharply. Because from what we found, it looks like you handed over human civilians to aliens who think their job is to become their romantic partners through comprehensive surveillance and behavioral conditioning. Dr. Voss cleared her throat. The truth is, we may have been overly optimistic about the Zenthari's understanding of human therapeutic relationships. Director Cross rubbed his temples. When the Zenthari first offered to help with human stress management, they presented extensive research on human emotional regulation. Their data was impressive, detailed studies of human behavior, stress responses, social bonding patterns. We thought they truly understood what humans needed. They didn't, Jenna said quietly. No, Dr. Cross admitted. What we discovered too late is that the Zenthari studied humans primarily by observing married couples, romantic partners, and people in intimate relationships. They concluded that all successful human emotional bonding follows the same pattern: gradual intimacy building, shared living spaces, physical proximity, and eventual reproductive partnership. Tessa leaned forward. So when you asked them to provide emotional support to stressed humans, they thought you were asking them to become romantic partners. Essentially, yes. In Zenthari culture, there's no distinction between therapeutic relationships and bonding partnerships. If someone needs emotional support, you bond with them completely emotionally, physically, reproductively. The concept of professional therapeutic boundaries doesn't exist in their society. Dr. Voss added, we've discovered that every Zenthari assigned to the program believes their ultimate goal is to form a permanent life partnership with their human. They see the gradual approach as necessary patience, not inappropriate behavior. Jenna felt a chill. How many humans are in this program? Approximately 847 participants nationwide, Director Cross said quietly. We're in the process of conducting emergency evaluations, but preliminary reports suggest that most Zenthari companions are at various stages of what they consider bonding protocols. Some more advanced than others? Tessa asked. Dr. Voss nodded grimly. We've had reports of Zenthari who believe they've successfully completed the bonding process with their humans. They're now expecting to proceed to what they call reproductive phase partnerships. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The Zenthari aren't malicious, Director Cross continued. They genuinely believe they're providing the best possible care for their assigned humans. In their culture, permanent bonding is the ultimate expression of care and support. They're confused and upset by human resistance to what they see as natural relationship progression. What happens now? Jenna asked. Terminating the program immediately, Dr. Cross said. All Xanthari companions are being recalled and debriefed about human therapeutic boundaries. We're also providing counseling and support for all human participants who may have been affected by these misunderstandings. Tessa wasn't satisfied. And what about the surveillance? The data collection on intimate human behaviors. Dr. Voss shifted uncomfortably. The Xanthari have agreed to destroy all collected data as a gesture of good faith. They understand that their research methods violated human privacy expectations, even though such monitoring is normal in their own bonding practices. Director Cross stood up. Ms. Martinez, I know this experience has been traumatic. We're prepared to offer comprehensive support services, and there will likely be legal ramifications that we'll need to address. As they left the government building, Jenna looked up at the sky and wondered how many other well-meaning alien species might be out there, ready to help humanity in ways that humans never intended to receive. The visitor protocol program had ended, but the questions it raised about interspecies communication, consent, and the dangers of good intentions would linger much longer.